Now I'm recording. Okay. So welcome to the leader call, this super casual call. And today we have Doug Moss from Corporate on with us. And we thought, since last week we talked about, with Jeff Matthewson, how to hit elite and what to look for, how to really kind of calculate your numbers and all that stuff. Doug is going to talk to us about goal setting, because elite doesn't have to be like this big. I mean, it looks big and scary when you look at the elite reports, but it's really just a matter of making really small, manageable goals every single month. And so Doug is going to lay it all out for us.
Yeah. Lay it all out. All right. Well, no pressure there. Well, I already laid it out. Actually, I know that Rachel knows it. I know that Haley knows it. Who else was at NLC that should know it? It's like everybody should know how to get to elite. I mean, I think that, if you had Jeff Matthewson on last week, I think that, obviously the elite goal guide and the tracker and all that stuff is available to you. What I thought I would do today, a little bit different, I've never done this before, but you're all sitting here on your computers. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. And if you're not friends with me on Facebook, if you would friend me, because I'm going to have you send me some stuff on Messenger, because I want to be able to kind of communicate with you while we go through this. So anyway, friend me if we're not friends. It's Doug E. Moss. So DOUGEMOSS. So guys, if you're going to be elite, and I think we've kind of talked about this, and I think that Haley can kind of speak to it as well, where it's where we talked about it at the New Leader Conference was this idea of kind of Beachbody's mantra, the idea of you have to decide, that you're going to do it. You have to set the goal. Then you have to commit to it, right? You have to say, you know what, I'm going to do it at all costs. I'm going to find a way to become an elite coach. And then succeed is, you were committed, you made the decision, and so then you did what you had to do to succeed. What I want from you guys is, on Messenger right now, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, okay, 10 being the highest, I want to know how committed you are to being elite this year, okay? So message me on Facebook right now, 1 to 10, and be honest. I mean, if it's like, I'm busy, I don't have enough time, I'm trying to figure this out, I want to know who is 100% committed to this. But I'm okay. I mean, if you're like, Doug, I think I can do it, I'm going to try, and you're at 70, I'm okay with that. But I think that would give me a better indication of kind of who we're talking to, so that, we can kind of figure out, who the audience is, and let you guys understand this. The real important piece of becoming an elite coach, and we kind of talked about this at the New Leader Conference, is this idea of there's 3 things you have to do to build this business, okay? And we've kind of talked about it over and over again, where we're talking about, the 3 things. The first one is you have to hit Success Club every single month. The second one is you have to recruit coaches every single month. And then the third one is you have to build on your Success Club base and getting your personally sponsored coaches hitting Success Club, right? I mean, literally, guys, I can't reiterate it enough that is the entire Beachbody compensation plan, right? The difference between, Melanie Mitchell ranked number 1 in the network, or Megan ranked number 3 in the network, and somebody ranked number 300 or number 2,000 is just how well they do those 3 activities, okay? But I also don't want you to get hung up on, I can't do what Megan does. I talk to Megan quite a bit, and I know that, how she recruits. I know how that was weird. My phone just started talking. I know her activities. I know what she's doing building this business, but I don't want you to get overwhelmed saying, I can't do what Megan does. Well, I hope you guys understand that just looking at last year, okay, 2015, and looking at Megan's numbers, I want you to know, so I've done some analysis, I've looked at her numbers and pulled it out. Guys, do you know that in order for you to be an elite coach, you have to get 135 elite points over the course of 12 months, okay? 135 points. If you average that out, that means you got to get 11.25 points per month. But in reality, they don't come based on an average. You're not going to get 11 in January and become elite. Most of the time, because of the way ATV works, the end of the year is weighted heavier than the first of the year. But if we just did an average and said, I need to be elite, I need to average 11.25 points, I want you to know that in order to be number 3 in the network in 2015, Megan averaged over 135 elite points per month. Okay? So why do I tell you that? Well, I tell you that because, you know what, she's one of the leaders on your team, but I also don't want that to scare you. I want you guys to understand the reality that to be an elite coach, you've got to do 1/12 of what Megan did last year, okay? And this isn't to brag about Megan, but it's to really break it down so that you guys understand that, okay, all I need is 135 points, and how am I going to get there over the course of the next 12 months? And I want you to understand that it's doable and that you can do it, right? There are coaches out there that are all over the board. I mean, I dealt with Daniel Natoni and, coaches like that are, they end at 400, 500, 600 elite points every year. So it's very solid. But I want you guys to understand, if you end the year with 136 elite points, you're still elite, okay? I don't care if you end with 135, you're still elite. But I don't want you to be overwhelmed right now thinking you can't get it done when absolutely you can, okay? In becoming elite, there's 3 things you have to do. You have to get your 135 points, you got to be a 5-star at the end of the year, and you have to create 2 diamonds over the course of the 12 months, okay? So what should you be focused on right now? When we talk about goals, where should your goals be set? And I hope you understand that if I go back to the 3 things, there's only 3 goals. You have got to hit Success Club every month. So message me if you hit Success Club last month, and message me how many Success Club points you had last month. Like, I want to know that yes, you did it, or no, you didn't, and how many points you ended up with for the month. Okay? The reason that that's important is because, guys, that's like being open for business. Like Success Club at Beachbody as a coach telling us that, hey, I am committed to my business. That isn't even I'm committed to elite. That's just I know that I'm open for business, and this is the minimum level of activity that I'm going to do. I've had lots of people say to me, you know what, Doug, I think that, that Success Club, that's just some number the company put out there, and, that it makes us sell challenge packs. The answer is it's actually not just a number that we pulled out of the air. It's actually based on us tracking leaders and seeing what activities they do in order to grow. That's kind of in the sweet spot, that if they do that level of activity, producing 5 Success Club points, we know that the odds are their business is going to grow. If they do SC10, their business grows twice as fast. If they do SC, 50, well, it grows 5 times as fast or 10 times as fast as SC5. So understand that Success Club is the barometer to your business. You have to hit Success Club, okay? And honestly, to be an elite coach, I honestly, I don't know that I have any elite coaches that don't hit Success Club consistently. I mean, I think that's just a given. I think with all you guys, you understand that. So just know that's got to be the first goal. Okay, then let's talk about number 2, recruiting. Message me right now how many coaches you recruited in the month of January. Okay, and the reason I'm asking for this is because you might be going, Doug, I've recruited, 6, 7, 8. I recruited 3. I want you to understand it's okay. You have to be recruiting early in the year. And the reason that recruiting is so important, and we've hit on this over and over again, is that the second category for points is PSPV, okay? Personally sponsored personal volume. And I'm sure Jeff talked about it. But essentially, that is the volume that is produced by coaches you signed in 2016. So when I'm talking to you about recruiting, you can't get to elite without recruiting new coaches, okay? you can't get to elite unless you get started now. And what I mean by that is that if you sign a coach in February and they produce volume, every month that they produce volume, that volume now counts for you for the entire year of 2016. We've said this over and over again. If I sign them in February, they count for me for 11 months. If I sign them in July, they count for 7 months or 6 months. If I sign them in November, they count for 2. So recruiting right now, early in the year, is key to this business. You guys have got to find a way to be recruiting right now, okay? Why does the company do Team Cup in February? You know, the essential reason is, why are we launching a new product in March? It's because we're trying to give you the tools to help you do this, to help you recruit early in the year. You know, January, you've got New Year's resolutions, you've got people recommitting. You know, we know for a fact that every gym in the country is crowded at 6 a.m. January 1st. And, you know, all of that activity helps your January. Team Cup is then another tool that we provide to you guys in order for you to get on teams of 5, work together, hold each other accountable, and achieve these basic goals: hitting Success Club and signing coaches. Okay? So if you sign coaches in January, that's okay. I would tell you that doesn't take you out of making elite. It just tells you you've got to get in the game and you've got to be recruiting in February and March. Like literally, you've got to put that as a priority. The recruiting has to be happening. Okay? Now, I've had lots of talks with coaches, and when I meet with a new diamond, it's interesting to talk to a diamond and ask them 2 questions. And you can ask this of your personally sponsored coaches. The 2 questions are, how many hours a day do you work Beachbody? And get their answer. Whatever, I don't care if it's 30 minutes. Interestingly enough, when I meet with diamonds, the common theme is they always say 5 hours. I don't know why, but that seems to be the answer that I get most times. You know, I do 2 or 3 hours in the morning, and I do 2 or 3 hours in the afternoon. So if you're putting in 5 hours a day, as an example, 5 days a week, you know, that's 25 hours a week. That's 100 hours a month, okay? I don't care if it's an hour a day. If you give me an hour a day, that's 20 hours a month. I want you to then ask the second question, how much of that time are you spending recruiting coaches? Because if you're working an hour a day and all of that time is going into training your team and pushing your team and talking to your team and, you know, hoping that one coach that says she's going to do it is going to do it, and working with her every day for 30 minutes and she never does it. I mean, guys, you have to put time into the activities that are going to get you to your goal, right? So if we're going to sit here and talk about getting to elite and talk about decide, commit, succeed, well, part of the commitment is not just working Beachbody. Part of the commitment is doing the activities that actually get you to your goal. And you know what? Sometimes you've got to sacrifice that call with your team, or that, you know, 2 hours on the phone with the same person you talked to 2 hours on the phone last week with. Like at some point, you've got to go get new people. And so I really want you to understand how important recruiting is. And I want you to understand that you've got to be focused on recruiting. And to be elite, you've got to be recruiting right now. Like literally the first quarter of this year, I can't tell you how important that is for you to make elite. Because in that category, I need you to get 61 points. I want you to cap the category, okay? And recruiting, the only way you get PSPV points is from 2016 coaches. So if you recruited 1 or 0 or even 2 in January, well, those are the only coaches that are producing volume for you to get you those 61 points, okay? So I can't beat it up anymore. You've got to be recruiting. And I don't care if you've signed 8, 9, 10 in January, February, it's a whole new ballgame. You got to go do it again. Because the sooner in the year you recruit those coaches, like I talked about, they're going to last. They're going to count for you the entire year. But here's the deal. We're going to get an elite report next Friday. And next Friday, we're going to see January, 2016. It's going to have the ranking on it. We're going to see where everybody sits. We're going to see how many points you have. And you know what? That can be overwhelming. It can be motivating. I mean, it can do a lot of things to you. What I hope you understand is every month we're going to be looking at the same report. If you don't recruit now, and let's say that in 3 months you recruit a new diamond or a rock star that's going to go to work and it's awesome and you're working with her, and so then you recommit to your goal, I'm going to tell you, not recruiting now is going to cause your December to be a lot harder on you. Like you're going to be stressed out. You're going to be wigging out about whether or not you're going to make elite, whether or not you're going to have the points for premier. How am I going to put it together? Guys, the way to not screw up your December is to recruit right now. Okay? You've got to get your 61 points in the PSPV category, and you have to be focused on it today. Okay? So get back, commit to the goal, and commit to doing the right activities that are going to get you to the goal. Okay? That means looking at how many hours a day you do this, looking at what you're spending that time doing. You know, I even tell coaches to go as far as, you know, let's say you don't know. Let's say I work 2 hours a day, or I don't know how many hours a day I do Beachbody. Well, then take the next 5 days and keep track of it. Because I think it might be eye-opening to some of you to go, dude, I actually work like 8 hours a day Beachbody. And when I'm working, El Jefe. Oh, Jeff, you can join this call.
Who's that? Who is it?
This is.
Say hi.
Come on in, Jeff. Perry Legal, Danny Wilson.
Oh, it's pure trouble this morning. This is like the way to jump into the weekend, to start your Friday, the fantastic Friday.
These are the coaches that say they're going to hit elite this year.
Okay, wow.
They're messaging me, and they don't say their numbers, but these are what they've recruited in January. These are their elite points for January, or their Success Club points.
Okay, I'm not going to say it.
Yeah. So don't throw any of them under the bus, but some of them have some work to do.
I'm not going to say anything but that's great. Anyway, good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's doing great. I just came in to say good morning.
Yeah, I'll come talk to you.
Okay, all right.
I'll do a write-up on that stuff. Anyway, hey. Sorry, guys. So, recruiting. Get it done. No question. You've got to have it. You've got to get your recruiting. If you don't do it, dude, the 135 points, it just gets harder the further into the year you get. Now, let me reiterate the final point on recruiting. If you did do 0 in January, you're not out of the game. This isn't the time to throw in the towel. If you do 0 in February, I'm still going to tell you can't throw in the towel, okay? You can still make it. It isn't like – I'm just talking about if you want it to be easier, you start in January and February and March. Those are the months that kick in and count for you the entire year, okay? Third one, your SC base, okay? Simple activity here. Do you have a list of your 2015 coaches? Who did you sign in 2015? Do you have a whiteboard with them listed on it where you know these are the ones that count towards my elite points? Okay? Every month when you recruit new coaches, you're writing down your new 2016 coaches next to your 2015 coaches. These are the coaches that build your Success Club base, which is your personally sponsored coaches hitting Success Club. These are the coaches that count towards your elite points. Again, we decided we're going to go for elite. That's why you're on this call. We made the commitment to it. So if we're going to make the commitment to it, then we're going to turn and say, what's the return on my investment if I do these activities? Where am I spending my time? What am I focused on? And so this is your SC base. These are the coaches that mean the most to you. If these coaches are sitting at 2, 3, 4 Success Club points going into the 20th of the month, and you've got 10 minutes to make a phone call, okay, this is where you're going to call, right? These are the people. So I really want you to kind of start to treat this like a business. You're the CEO of your world. Your business is still not that complicated, but it gets more complicated as you get bigger. And as you develop this business, you're going to start to understand what you're tracking and why you're tracking it. But guys, understand that elite is not unattainable. I love the quote. I had Carlos came in here that we have a new guy who's over the Latino market. And he says to me, he goes, Doug, what do you say to motivate coaches? And I said, wait, what do you mean? He goes, well, no, I have to talk about motivation and trying to motivate a coach. And, I don't know how to motivate a coach. I don't know how to get you guys to be motivated. I will tell you that what I told him was, guys, I love the quote, why not me? Why not you? Right? To me, that just resonates in this way that it's like, dude, why not me? Like, wait, why not me? Like, I want you to think about that as far as becoming elite. Guys, we have 293 elite coaches from 2015. Some of them are on this call. Understand that all they did was decide to do it, commit to do it, and then they did it. You guys have to just do the work. But you've got to make sure that whatever time you're putting into Beachbody is getting you towards your goal, right? And I have this talk all the time, so I'll give you a story. I met with Danielle. She hit 15 star yesterday. I met with her last August, and she said, Doug, I want to go through my goals. And I said, all right, let's go through your goals. And we line out all of her goals. And dude, her list of goals, there were 30 of them. And I'm like, okay, okay, let me, and guys, I'm sorry, but I'm the blunt one. I'm the one who offends everybody. I'm like, I'm sorry, but 30 goals is kind of stupid. There's too many. It's like, I don't know how you focus on all this. Like, what are the 3? And then she comes back and she gives me the 3. And I said, awesome, these are the 3. Okay, so now what's the 1? Like, I want to know the first goal, and then I want to know the second goal, and then we'll talk about the third goal. But you got to have the first one. And I'll blunt, guys, elite should be your first goal, because guess what? Elite fills all these other little activities that you should be doing as a coach. The basic activities of building this business are done in the elite program, okay? Hitting Success Club, signing coaches, and getting your coaches to Success Club. You want to be number 3 in the network? Do those 3 things better than anybody else. You want to be number 10? Do them better than everyone but 9 people. Like, dude, it's not that complicated. This is a business where you can do this. You just have to make the commitment to do it. Anyway, I don't know how to make people understand any better that you can do it than ask, why not you? Why aren't you doing it? And I think you will. And I think over the course of time, many of you will. And for those of you that have, the Megans and the Carries of the world, guys, the first year that you hit elite, it's all about, that's your number 1 goal, is to hit elite. Well, guess what your second year is? Your second year is you have to hit elite, and now you got to get PS coaches to hit elite. You close the door, and you never know what's going to happen. I mean, Megan and Carrie.
Oh, trouble. Trouble.
These are their elite.
Hey, you're next, big guy.
Oh, you're next.
I didn't get a response, so I don't know if I am or not.
Well, you messaged me at midnight.
That's right.
Carrie, how are you?
I'm muted because we have a snow day.
16.
Wow.
They're combined elite contenders.
This one over here is my future coach.
There you go.
So
Yeah.
cute.
All right. Well,
All right, sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good. All right, guys. Well, I think that covers it, right? Those are the 3 things. You got a Jeff Hill interruption, a Jeremy Red interruption. I mean, how could we possibly have a better call than that? Hey, so you know what? For 2 minutes, what questions do you have? Like, is there anything that you guys don't understand about this? And let me say this too, before we jump there. If there's anything you guys don't understand, obviously you have a phenomenal support team in your upline coaches. I mean, you're on one of the best teams, okay? You also have this huge opportunity with your Beachbody sales team. So make sure that you're reaching out. If you're in the West and you have a question about elite, I don't care, message me. There isn't a, you can't talk to Doug or to Brittany or to Joe. Reach out. Dude, we'll respond to you. So just make sure that any questions you have about what you're focused on is getting addressed so that there's no excuse not to do it. Okay? So are there any other questions? I saw the one, the second Friday of every month is when the elite report comes in. At the end of the year, just so you know, when we get to like November, December, we start doing it every week. So, if you're sitting at 112 points at the end of September, we really start to track it then to make sure we're going to get you to 135. So you start getting weekly updates. But in the first of the year, you get it. They're calculated on a monthly basis, but they're delivered on the second Friday of each month. And they used to come via email. Now they just populate in your back office.
Do the points only come from your first business center?
No. So all your business centers aggregate up. So meaning if you sponsored a coach in January, sponsored by your second CBC to make sure it stays diamond or did whatever, that coach counts. If that coach hits Success Club, it counts for the Success Club point. If that coach produces volume, it counts towards volume. Okay, so if it's sponsored by you or your second CBC. So that brings up a good point about your spouse, your brother, your sister, your dad. Guys, you cannot, and this is not a black and white rule. There is some gray area here, but you cannot be putting coaches sponsored by your spouse this time of the year because you need them for your PSPV. So do not be sponsoring coaches by your spouse right now to build him to diamond. Now is not the time to build your spouse to diamond. Do that in June, July, once we know we've got a solid base of coaches building your PSPV. Other questions? Haley, you got it? No, you got to unmute.
Yeah. Got
So,
it.
are there any questions you don't understand about Elite? That's right. You got your workbook from NLC. You do. You know what you have to do.
Yes.
Okay. Good. Did you didn't send me any of my messages.
Me?
Yeah.
I did too. I did.
Is that my internet? Sorry.
I sent
Okay.
them all 3 of them.
All right. Well, it's not populated yet. We're good. Well, guys, if you don't have any questions, we can end. But I'm just telling you, why not you? You know what? Put the time in, focus on the right activities, and get it done. If you're already elite or you hit Premier last year, then the next question is, how many personally sponsored elite coaches can you create? I will tell you that, I think everybody's goal and to kind of drive this mission forward. But as you start to sacrifice time away from your kids, your family, your husband to build this, there becomes an income goal aspect to this business. Well, as you know, if you're going to build income with Beachbody, it comes from producing volume, okay? Volume comes from building Star Diamonds and personally sponsored elite coaches. I can tell you that I did a one-on-one with a coach one time, and the real takeaway was, and I won't tell you who it is, but she's up in Seattle, and we did a one-on-one, and I said to her, I said, no, she's in Portland. And I said to her, what's your goal? And at the time, she was making like $2,500 a week, so she was making $10,000 a month. And her goal was to get to $20,000 a month. And I'm like, okay, great. How are we going to get you there? And she said, well, I'm currently a 7-star, and I want to get to 15-star. And I think if I do that, then my income can double, and I'll make more money. And I said, that'd be great. And this was at the first of the year last year. And she said, I want to be a 15-star by Summit. Crazy thing happened. We went to Summit, and I sat down and talked to her, and I said, man, I'm sorry you didn't make your goal. She was not a 15-star. I think she advanced from 7 to 8 is all, because she couldn't get the diamonds to work. But she had been building, her personally sponsored coaches were working really well, and her personally sponsored coaches had been advancing to Star Diamond. So we went and pulled the report. And what was crazy is because coaches are paid weekly, they don't pay attention to their income, how it increased. Like it increases, but it's just kind of creeping its way up. And what was interesting is with her rank had not really increased that much, but her personally sponsored Star Diamonds had grown, and her income had gone to where she was making just under $5,000 a week. So I want you to understand that you got to be recruiting, you got to be bringing people in, and as you hit your goals of hitting Premier and Elite, essentially all your goal does is you still have to do it, but then you're going to start to focus on building personally sponsored elite and premier and quite honestly star diamond coaches, because those are the guys that are producing volume, which then correlates with producing income for you and your family. So anyway, as you build this business, just know that there's this bigger game plan that continues to kind of evolve as you guys move forward with the business. Megan, any other questions, comments?
No, I think that was a great call. I appreciate you taking the time out to talk to us today. And I don't really have any other comments. I mean, I was telling Doug before we got on the call, I didn't track Elite really the first year I made it, and I think it worked in my favor because like I didn't see the Elite, I didn't know how to read the Elite report, and so it didn't overwhelm me because I just kind of said, okay, whatever, and I just continued to do what I was always doing, and I still made Elite. So I don't want you guys to get overwhelmed or scared about those numbers when it comes out every second Friday of the month, because if you're doing what you're always doing or always have been doing, and you don't go into management mode, you're gonna make it. So no, I appreciate you laying that all out for us, and I don't have any questions.
Perfect. Well, I'll tell you what, my messenger is updating, and Haley, I do see your messages. Sorry to call you out when my internet is not pulling it. Carrie.
I know. How rude.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I really like how simple it is, and Megan was leading into that too. Like, our first year, it was just hit Success Club, get new coaches to hit Success Club, and that's what we did. That's what we were told. We didn't think too much about it. We definitely didn't go into management mode. We wanted to keep building and building, but I think that's like the hard part for these leaders to understand is that really how simple it is, it's not this crazy math thing that you have to figure out, or you're not doing something that, is a big secret. We're all kind of doing the same thing. I think the question that comes up often is, what is the best way to spend that time when you're like, okay, I'm setting aside this time for recruiting. How do we best spend that time recruiting and what that looks like? Because I think there are so many different ways people go about this. And I think some are time sucks, and I think some are really efficient. But I don't know if you have like a specific way that comes to mind from talking with so many leaders, or if it's just kind of fine tuning your craft and continuing to find what works for you, what approach you would suggest.
Yeah, I would tell you that I do so yesterday I did the best of the best in the West call with Daniel Natoni. And on that call, we were kind of drilling into her, how do you build this? How do you recruit? How do you focus on recruiting? And the two things that she said is you got to be authentic on social media. You got to be consistent with social media. I guess it's three things: consistent, authentic. And then she used a word that I hadn't thought of. I always say strategic, and it goes back to kind of the Megan jab, 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 right hook. But she says, you got to be clever. And, and I thought, well, that's a great word, because she says, every time I post on social media, I got to be unique. I have to be clever with what I'm posting. And guys, I mean, recruiting is a personal activity. You guys have got to figure out how to do it. The good news is, you're on a team that is like, with Carrie and Megan at the helm of this thing, guys, they're two of the best recruiters in the company. They know how to do this. Social media is not rocket science. It's consistency. It's authenticity. And I like the idea of being a little bit clever with your posts. She's like, Doug, I want to do my workout, and I wanted to post my workout move. And I figured out that if my cat's in the workout and my cat's name is Chuma, that makes it unique, and like cat people want to watch me work out because my freaking cat's in the picture. And then she said, I want to sell more Shakeology packets because I ended up with a bunch of them and had people that wanted them. And I put it out there, a picture of these Shakeology packets, somebody would buy them. But I put them in front of my cat, and all of them sold. And it's like being a little bit clever with what you're posting is powerful. So you can't look at what Amy Silverman posts or Melanie Mitro or Megan and say, I want to do what she does. You've got to get back to what makes you unique. What is it that your audience is following you for? But dude, stay consistent with it and dial it in. Obviously learning from your team or your leaders here, but understand you guys have just got to, but honestly, I think the best of the best in the West calls, if you haven't seen them, they're on my YouTube channel. And, the guys, they're an hour long, each one of them. They're too long. But in order to get the nuggets out of them, we had to kind of do this interview style so that we could drill in. So take the time to pay attention to what people are doing, but you can't do what they do. Consistent, authentic, and clever, and then just keep doing it. And dial in your craft, and I think you'll figure it out. I mean, I really do think that it's all that. But then, with your guys' team, you just learn from the best. I mean, and you have access to them. So that would be my feedback on recruiting. And I'll tell you, it's not easy to go from your warm market, recruiting your mom and your brother and your neighbor and the lady you walk with and all that kind of stuff, to recruiting off of social media. I mean, that's a tough transition. But you've all been working on it. And I think as you continue to dial that in, you're going to be able to, it's just a function of, Megan says it, I think Raina Odell said it on her call, is kind of this idea of failing forward. You try stuff, it either works or it doesn't work. If it worked, you learn from it and you do it again and you refine it again. So it's always consistently trying to get better at this. So I guess that would be the feedback I'd give Carrie on recruiting is, number one, you guys have all the training and all the tools available to you. It isn't rocket science. Just like the three things, recruiting is not complicated. It's consistency, it's authenticity, and then add a little cleverness to it. And I think that's the trick. And that's what you've got to dial in is your craft of how you're doing it.
So one of my favorite takeaways from the New Leader Conference was simply that this is a simple business. It's not necessarily easy, but it's simple. You do the simple task every day and they compound. And so that's really what I've been trying to focus on since I've been back is just doing the simple things, posting every day, inviting every day, and not worrying about, I don't know. I've just really tried to simplify everything.
Well, and I would add to that, Haley, that it is about staying simple, but I would tell you that just make sure that you don't get into the rut of doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. You really have to fail forward. You have to try things, learn from it, try something different, learn from it, so that you're consistently refining your craft so that you understand I'm getting better at this. I mean, I've worked with Megan now for, 2.5 years since I've been with the company, and it's been interesting. Her whole cycle was try it. Oh, that nearly didn't work. Okay, try something different. Okay, that one worked. Okay, keep doing that. Oh, let's add this on it. Okay, we're doing that too much. Okay, come back down. Let's not do that one. Let's try something else. And it's like every week, it's like step forward, take a step back, 2 steps forward, step back, 3 steps forward. Guys, that's how you refine this craft. And I love that it's simple. Just don't get in the rut of doing simple things over and over. You have to still be learning as you're doing this. Like the National Wake Up Call. To me, the National Wake Up Call when I first started was the scariest thing ever. Because, and honestly, I'll use Megan as the bad example. I would call Megan on a Monday morning at 10:30, and I would say, Megan, how are you? And she'd, I'm doing so good. And I said, what's going on? She'd say, did you hear the National Wake Up Call? I'm like, yeah. And she goes, Scotty Hobbs. Dude, did you hear what he said about Coach Basics? And I said, yeah. And she goes, and I would say, so what are you doing? She goes, I'm rewriting my Coach Basics. I'm like, awesome. That's awesome. Perfect. You learned something. That's good. And we would talk. And then 2 weeks later, I'd be like, Megan, how are you? And she's like, oh, did you hear the National Wake Up Call? And I'm like, yeah. And it was Melanie Mitro. And what did she say? And, oh, did you hear how she does her Coach Basics? I said, yeah. And she goes, I said, so what are you doing? And she says, I'm rewriting my Coach Basics. And I'm like, wait, stop. You can't rewrite your Coach Basics every time somebody on the National Wake Up Call talks about how theirs is better. And so honestly, I think we both kind of learned that by these discussions where it's like, guys, you have to get better and you have to take away nuggets and you have to make little tweaks to your business as you're moving forward. It isn't about, and I think, Megan, we used to talk about it. It's like, it's not listen to it and then do a U-turn and then go backwards and then do a U-turn and then do U-turns all day, because you're not getting anywhere. It's small tweaks and adjustments trying to get better as you go forward. Sorry, Haley. Long answer.
All right.
All right, guys.
Awesome call.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Get it done. I'll tell you. I mean, I obviously deal with you guys, and a lot of you are in the West, and so